In this video, we're talking about 3 lessons that I wish I had learned before I dove into business about partnerships. And these 3 things have lost me so much time, so much energy, and so much effort. And if you understand them, maybe you can avoid that pain and suffering. Let's get into it. Everybody, my name is Curtis Johnson, and today we are talking about partnerships. This is Knockin Hard, and these are things that I've learned the hard way. These are not things that I've picked up necessarily in a textbook. There's a lot of reading that I've done in these areas that has really helped me establish almost some hard, fast rules, and all of it is really just honing into this one particular lane, which is, should you go into a partnership with an individual? Maybe let's define this a little bit more. There are different types. This could be that you and another person are looking at joining forces, starting a company together, taking your business and their business and merging them together. Is it a valuable relationship? It could also be that you have a business, someone else has a business, and you want to do a joint venture together. Maybe you're even looking at just hiring someone. This could be you own a business and you're hiring them for a particular marketing service, or they do your books, or whatever it is on that side. Or it could be that you're looking just to be a client. And the question really becomes, what are the pieces that can wreck that partnership before it even starts? What are pieces that you could very likely run into? And you have to assess these 3 things. And if you don't, it can literally, I'm not being overly dramatic, it can result in utter disaster. And for me, it has. It has taken a family relationship that is now great, but at one point before the partnership, we had an amazing relationship. That partnership resulted in us not talking for over a year. This is someone who I love dearly, but as a result of a partnership that could have been structured correctly, but didn't, it tanked. So let's dive into these 3 things. And the first thing really is you have to know your own value. What are you good at? Are you good at something that is marketable? Do you know how to market it? These are important questions you need to ask yourself before you're looking at a partnership. You don't always want to go in a partnership just because you are a nice guy or people think that you get things done. You have to also ask yourself, am I good at the piece of this partnership that they are putting me in a lane to do? Am I really qualified for the actions that they are asking of me? This could even be you could actually look at this in marketing. Let's say you're looking at hiring an ads agency. The first question they should really ask you is, what is the skill and service that you are looking to market? Well, what is the skill and service that you are looking to market? In a partnership or in marketing? Do you know what you're actually good at? Are you actually good at it to an extent that someone else should pay you to do it? If you don't know the answer to that question, but more than that, if you don't know how it manifests to them, and if you don't know how to express it concisely and clearly, you're going to have a hard time locking that partnership down if it's a partnership you want. So know your value. You also have to assess, and this is really one of the many things that went wrong in that I gave that example, or that bad consequence of I lost a relationship for about a year, and it took a solid 12 months to get it back. And why did that happen? Well, in part, it happened because I committed myself to a role that I really wasn't actually qualified for. And I was good at many things, but I took on pieces of that role that I was actually not good at. This was a relationship that started out kind of early in my career. I was in my mid-20s, and I was hungry. And probably like a lot of you, I was very hungry to go out there and make a lot of money. It was for no other reason than I wanted to make a lot of money. I didn't have kids. I wasn't married. Heck, at that moment, I don't even think I had a girlfriend. So it's not like I was sitting there going, I got bills to pay. No. This was, I'm hungry, and I'm willing to do anything. So I jumped into a business. It was a construction-focused industry and construction-focused business. And I quickly went from, hey, I'm just here to interview, check out maybe a sales role or an assistant role of some kind in the construction world, to 3 months in, 4 months in, I was taking on a more executive role. Why? Because I was hungry and I worked my tail off. I worked much more in terms of hours than pretty much anyone else there, and I was willing to do things that others weren't. Well, as a result, the owner was looking at going on a trip, and the trip at first was only going to be a couple weeks, and it was like, hey, can you make sure that a couple of these projects carry on and don't fall on their face? One, I should have said no right there, because I'm sorry, I was not the general contractor. I didn't have years of work experience even in that particular lane, let alone the fact that in construction things pop up all the time that you won't necessarily know are part of that project until magically they are. So I should have said no right there alone. I should have said, sorry, I don't think I'm actually qualified to do that. And as a result, I would have avoided a lot of pain. So I said yes. And then that 2-week turned into a month, turned into a month and a half. And at that point, I'm taking on roles and responsibilities where I'm making sure that some of the financial pieces for a particular job, quoting, were accurate. And I'm doing this sometimes over the phone with the owner, sometimes over the phone with another one of the supervisors. But in any case, I was way out of my depths. And also, when you start doing things that you know you shouldn't, you put yourself in a funny position. You put yourself in a position where you want to hightail it out of there, and you want to almost blow the scene. And you get a little bit harsher in the way you think about the person who, took off on a vacation, and maybe you're thinking your harsh words are because they left me high and dry. Well, no, it's probably also because you're doing something, and that's what was the case here, doing things that you probably know you shouldn't have. So as a result, you really have to know your value, but also your limits. You can always push your limits a little bit, but only enough that your core focus needs a little adding on to. Not, I need to build out a whole core focus that I need to immediately deliver on day one, and I don't even know, I don't have any bearings at all. That's not a good place to start. So you need to know your value going into a partnership, and that's really, I would think, the most important thing to assess before you ever look at a partnership or try and assess the other person. You really need to be upfront about what you're good at. Second thing, obviously, is now let's turn the tables here. Let's look at this other partnership. And I've seen so many times, I've done this so many times, where I've jumped into a partnership not actually having a real-world understanding of how that person handles themselves both in that area of expertise, but also in business. Maybe they're a longtime friend. Maybe I've known them from high school, or I was in a college class with them back then, and he's a great guy. His family seems to be well put together. Great house, family. Those things have a bearing on the quality of an individual, but they don't necessarily have a bearing of that person's ability to carry out a partnership. What is the role that they're supposed to be doing? Have you seen them in that role? Have you looked into their past performance on that role? Do you know what kind of pieces around them will affect their ability to do that role? What are they like on social media? Are they also someone who represents themselves professionally? Those have bearing on whether or not you get a client, keep a client. If they put out a message that you think is detrimental to the future success of your business, well, the best indication of that is if they've done it in the past. So you have to look at these things. As an example, for the main business that I spend my entire day on, which is Better, we have a due diligence checklist that is many points long, very long. And part of it is looking into, in that case, what is the company's product? What's their marketing look like? Have they had any lawsuits? There are so many of these points that you have to assess. And also, have you seen any testimonials? Do you know any clients of theirs? Is there someone who can give a good testimony to what they are good at? What are they bad at? And what they're bad at is also just as important to know what they're good at, because you can also structure a deal so they're not over something that they're bad at. And you really, again, have to assess. This is kind of these 2 points merged together. You have to look at what makes up a business. What does a business consist of? Okay, you have to have someone who runs the show. They have to be the source point of all of the ideas, the product, the delivery of that business. Who is the one that really churns that product out? Is there something special at it that they know? So you have to have a source point. You have to have people to run the show. Are you going to be the executive over them over you? You have to be able to bring on new staff. You have to be able to assess, are people being productive and ethically doing their job and exchanging correctly with you as a company. You have to look at it and go, okay, we need to know that we can sell. Can we collect in money? Do we have someone who can sell the service? Is it sellable? Do we have the publications, the videos, the pieces needed to actually sell this product? Who is the one who's going to do that? Who's going to monitor the numbers to make sure it's profitable after that? Who's going to collect in that money? Who's going to make sure that the business is not being run at a loss? All of those are key important pieces. Then you have to get to the point of delivering that product. What does it take? What are all the different pieces that come in, get changed, and come out the other side in a way that a client wants it? Then you have to quality control and make sure that the people doing it are actually doing it correctly. These are all pieces of a business. How are you getting in new clients? Are you servicing those new clients well? Are you publishing good works of those clients so you can go get more clients? People, these are the pieces of a business. It's you and it's that other person, or it's you and those other people. Do you have the structure and the breakdown to make sure that between the two of you, or between that partnership, you can carry out these roles? If you're missing one of these vital roles, you don't have a company. You have to very quickly find either those skills yourself, or in their case, their self, and make sure that that can all be brought together. But if you don't really look at all of those parts and go, okay, who's over what? Again, that partnership's going to have a really tough time. And that leads us to this third piece, which I don't want to say it's most important, because I really don't think you can even get to this third piece without a proper assessment of the first two. But this third piece is really, is it an equal partnership? What is who gets what? Who gives what? Some cases, someone is sweat equity and the other one's money. And that's fine. But the question is, long term, are you going to be okay with the amount of money you're getting for the amount of money you'll eventually give? That's a very complicated question, honestly. If we look at it, let's say, in more of a sense of work and a partnership of doingnesses where they're doing something and you're doing something, fine. But also, do they work as hard as you do? Do you work as hard as they do? In terms of the number of hours to run this thing, the number of hours also to achieve the service that you're trying to achieve, who's going to be doing more work is the work of similar skill. Maybe they have a skill, or you have the skill that is $1,000 an hour, and they're bringing in 10 times the amount of work that's still only $50 an hour. Well, guess what? That's still not an equal partnership. You might be doing less work, but it's the example of, hi, I'm an office manager and I'm going to run a dentist's office. I'm sorry, but without the dentist, there's no dental office. Without the office manager, the dentist still can practice dentistry. You see the difference? It doesn't necessarily mean equal is equal, but you have to know and be okay with the amount of work you're doing versus the amount of work they're doing. And if you are, great, perfect. Lock it down. If you know them, they know you. You're good on what you're going to have to perform, and you're willing to perform it, and same on their case. And you have a partnership where the percentages are both documented and signed, legal, and agreed upon, and in writing, and those percentages work for you, or what you put in versus what you get out, you're happy with, then take it to the bank. I think that these are three of the most important things that you need to do in order to have an effective partnership. And if you can get them, you're probably much better off. And there's a million other skills you'll have to learn, but at least you're in a foundation that can build upon. With that, I hope you found this valuable. like, subscribe, check out the intro, check out any of the other videos on Knockin Hard. We've got a lot of amazing content that we've got lined up, some great guest speakers, and, get out there, kick butt, and we'll do our part to try and provide some value and some direction along the way. Take care. Thanks so much.